Shall we begin?
He's got big balls.
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
Hashtag Faith Radio.
Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
Amen, brother. Hold on to your butts.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, thanks for having us. It is the 9 to noon Friday football feast at FM 100.3 KFAN. Here they come.
Hold on to your butts.
Gopher Nation.
High fives for everybody.
Gopher Nation.
By your side, Nordo producing, and yours truly commencing the Friday front court feast by conceding. All right, I'm the idiot. All right, I'm the idiot.
Stop him! Stop him! Stop him!
No need to stop him.
It's on now.
It's on now because I'm the idiot. All right, what took me so long to pay attention to and watch these guys and this guy?
Christie back in the game, gives to Fox. Fox lost the ball, gets it back, gives to Carrington. He kicks out to Hawkins. Straight on threes. There! Knocked it down. He's got 16 points. Matches his Gopher career high. He's had that twice, including Sunday against Rutgers.
Sorry, KFAN.
Sky Yuma, Elijah Hawkins. All right, 3-2. Sky Yuma, Elijah Hawkins, and Sky Yuma Ben Johnson. Beat Ohio State last night. 8 Big Ten wins this season after just 6 his first 2 years. Indeed. What an enjoyable product. All right, I'm the idiot. Well done, young men. Well done. I mean, be cool if they head down Lincoln Way and push Freddie into a good one, then beat Wobble's team here next Wednesday. You see, it's a quad thing, as the kids put it. It is a quad thing, as the kids put it, and one of these casuals recently learned, the net and the quads. Al Nolan joined 9 to noon in studio yesterday, and he made a couple of quad references, and I'm like, quad what? Quad who? Quad where? Quad when? I mean, the net and the quads, all right? Yours truly, the idiot, is late to the party, but so moved by Elijah Hawkins' quick twitch. Now, the old announcer has jumped on the bandwagon, and I thank all Golden Gophers fans for making room.
Gopher Nation.
The net and the quad, the net. We were 76th in something called the net, 76th in the country into a quad 2 against Ohio State.
Can you repeat the part of...
Bro, can we just play basketball? We were 76th in the net into a quad 2 game against the Buckeyes.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
All right, so we won the quad 2. The Huskers and Illini are considered something called quad 1 games. So to get consideration in puncher's chance-like fashion, perhaps, for the NCAA tournament, seems we need to win those games. The Big Ten tournament is at Target Center, and rattling off some W's there probably is needed too. Jameis Winston and his alphabet soup. Let's go find the W's. But the A topic for yours truly, said idiot, late to an absolute party. They're relevant. Relevant to insiders, season ticket holders, and casuals like me. Consider this. Purdue head coach Matt Painter, after beating the Gophers last week, said, quote, "They are going in the right direction. That's what you want to see. Light at the end of the tunnel. You want that light to be hope, not a train. Their light is hope, and they should feel good about where they are." That's the Painter preach. Wonder if Matt Painter can join Faith and Goal next week. I mean, the Painter preach, they are going in the right direction. That's what you want to see. Light at the end of the tunnel. You want that light to be hope, not a train. Their light is hope. And they should feel good about where they are. Ski-U-Mah hoops and relevancy. Just like the other key 9 to noon cogs going right now. I mean, think about it. The Wild is back in action this evening against the Oilers, ballyhooed as they are. Coach Hines and the gang, relevancy. They have become playoff relevant and will hang 10 on you if you lose your proverbial edge. Gophers hockey is top 10 in the pairwise and has a chance to win the NCAA tournament at XL Energy Center in a couple of months. That's relevancy. Coach Motzko joins the 9 to noon confab around 10:45. And then there's these guys.
That's exactly what the Wolves want him to do, and he's obliging every time. Ant comes back the other way and drains the three, and then crouches down, looking to lock eyes with anyone in a black jersey. To the baseline, Scoot Henderson, 93-73, back up by 20. Henderson fires a three. It's an air ball. Kyle's leaking out. Ant spots him. Back to Ant, down the lane. Look out! Two-headed stuff for Anthony Edwards.
Alan Horton firing bullet after bullet after bullet. Well done, young man. Giannis and Dame are here tonight. Yours truly. Cannot wait for that one. This Wolves winter wonderland has the best record in the Western Conference and 7 in a row at home, which is just a beautiful opportunity to take the reality of relevancy and dunk on Dame tonight and batter bridges tomorrow. What about last night? Payne and Garcia with 13 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 37 of the 88 they scored. Big men equaled big problems for the big old Buckeyes. And said bigs, damn, man, they went 10 of 13 from the line. Bigs who can shoot free throws. Who knew? Hawkins, Mitchell, and Christie also scored 37 of the 88 and nailed 7 threes. So, Elijah Hawkins, I'm a fan, man. You can call me idiot if you want, but my real name's Paul Allen. And first time I've really watched you play a full basketball game, I'm a fan, man. Well done with all the hesitations. I think the kids would say the hezzy.
We're coming.
Those hezzies. Well done with those hezzies. Coy step backs and floor general leadership. Got Grimm and Al Nolan all timed up with the TV last night.
We're coming.
Hawkins was stealing the show, and now the net and quads are on the radar of 9 to noon. It's bandwagon radio for sure, but better late than never. Now, courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com, 5-2 Radio is around the corner. Chad Greenway, courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits. We also have a topic potpourri to unfurl at about 10 a.m. It's a topics potpourri, and we will unfurl them for each other. And the text machine, that is 64686, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. You can text in if you want as we rifle our way through said potpourri at about 10 o'clock. I got 4 of them. How many you got over there, Nord?
I got several as well. I got 4 or 5.
That's the 10 o'clock plan. Bob Motzko, coach of the Golden Gophers hockey team, he's been nice enough to join 9 to noon weekly with that fantastic hockey squad off this weekend, approaching the end of the Big Ten. Then you got the Big Ten tournament. Then you got the NCAA tournament. And maybe the capital city can provide a championship to Golden Gophers hockey fans, given the Frozen Four is at XL Energy Center and commences with a championship game where it'd really, really be nice to have the Gophers in that game mid-April.
Here's Tafe outside the circle. Back to the captain, Leopold on net. A tip pull. On the right. Oh, they scored! Will Patoli wins it for Minnesota!
Coach Motzko after the potpourri, then the Burke bit, then 9 to noon calls it a day. We head into the weekend, start over next week with Combine 2024 coverage. Thus is our lives, and thanks for being part of it in ancillary fashion. It's Paul Allen at FM 100.3 KFAN and the Friday Football Feast with some 5-2 radio next. Good morning.
I love it, baby. Woo!
.com.
Grey Duck works with Gopher Sports, right? I mean, I just spent a segment loving on Ben Johnson's team, but I know Grey Duck Vodka, Grey Duck Spirits, something to assist. Is it Golden Gophers football or Golden Gophers athletics? Chad Greenway, and good morning.
And good morning. Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Dinkytown Athletes, the NIL collective that represents the university's athletes, all sports, from my understanding. And so we support them in different ways with our vodka and our super special new Duck beer, which I will be in Apple Valley Municipal tonight. Check our socials, signing some 12 packs of Grey Duck. Duck beer. So yeah, it's fun to support, and it's fun to, not everybody that's in the NIL world in college is making a bunch of money. And, we feel like, even though, I know they have the Hawkeye connections, but we're a local company. We're trying to support the local athletes here. So it's a great play, and it's been a lot of fun.
It's like when I watch some college basketball, and I began 9 to noon today with basically, all right, I'm the idiot. I mean, yeah, I know the Golden Gophers basketball team has gotten better, specifically from last year, but from the last 2 years. So, yeah, it's just whether it's life or whether it's work or whatever. I just really had never gone out of my way to pay close attention to it until about the last week and change. And I had an opportunity to watch basically the full thing last night. And I had heard the names, and I had seen some of the characters in this metaphorical flick in passing via highlights or in truncated fashion of like why. And then this is in no way to be like, hey, let's call the coach of UConn and let's meet in Cleveland, Ohio, somewhere between Connecticut and let's have a heat check and let's just see where we stand. It ain't saying that, but I mean, it was so bad at times the last couple of years, and I love basketball, and I've always loved basketball, and that I just kind of checked out, and I bet you that I'm kind of in low-key fashion speaking for a lot of people. So then you just start following what they have been doing, and then learning about the quad 1 and the quad 2 and the quad 3 and the net rating. And I'm watching these games not like Kansas or Kentucky or North Carolina. Arizona, Washington State last night was pretty good for the first half. Wazoo pulled an upset of a top 5 team on the road, very impressive. Or UConn, but it's like Gophers, Ohio State. So you got some of the middling variety, and when I watch these players, I just wonder how their NIL works. I just, it's like with Caleb Williams, the quarterback for USC. All right, $3.5 to $4.3 million for his final year at USC is what he was getting with the name, image, and the likeness. And then you think locally, or then you think the Columbus market, but you're not a Buckeyes football player. and like how that NIL works. And every little bit obviously counts, but do you have any idea for like Gophers basketball or Ohio State basketball, like how that thing works?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I think it's I'm going through that with my oldest child in recruiting, and it's starting to be part of every conversation. Not that you're requesting it or you're even saying that, but that's what.
And she's 16.
Yep, that's what the universities are not leading with, but it's a part of the conversation. And obviously with the Grey Duck brand working in the NIL space with Dinkytown athletes, I mean it's become a real conversation.
Okay,
I don't think any of us folks that love the old world sports, it's like it's hard to get used to and hard to get. It's new with the transfer portal and kids jumping around. We love loyalty. We love kids that want to stay and win with the program. And I think it's been hard to wrap my mind around it. But you're like either you jump in or you miss out. And I think that's what Dinkytown athletes' approach has been. I don't know exactly like the numbers if there's minimums. Some schools are having minimums. Like if you're on the team, you're going to get X. And then you can, there's opportunities if you're playing, play time, starter, you get more, et cetera. Yep. It works a little bit differently in every university that I've seen and witnessed. Okay. But, I pay attention probably closer to the girls' side. I have a lot of friends over there playing for the Gophers. I think the one thing that's good about what at least Dawn is doing on the women's side is she's heavily recruiting, Minnesota. Like a lot of Minnesota girls that are in the mix. And I think that's from a company standpoint, if you're going to invest in the players, it's nice to invest in players that are local.
You know that Minvox LLC that I have?
Yeah, oh yeah.
If I had been at that game last night, I would have cut Elijah Hawkins a check from that business account and just said, "Here's my NIL.
Yeah, yep.
Here's $1,000." That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That stop and go and that little step back off the hard stop and go. I mean, we have hesitation moves, but the hard cut hesitation step back, it just blew me away how good this kid is at it. And if I was there, man, it would have been a Minbox situation. Here's your $1,000. That's my NIL. It doesn't exactly work like that, right?
No, I think it can. I think a company can cut a check. A company can cut a check, and it doesn't even have to be for a reason,
right?
But it's the first time I watched the Gopher men play a full game was against my Hawkeyes, maybe on TV a week and a half ago, and they let it slip away down the stretch, and the Hawkeyes won, and a game they probably shouldn't have won,
right?
And it looked a little bit like the Gophers of the past couple years, where they let one get away, that they were in a good spot. I did not watch the full game last night, but you mentioned that step back. I did see that highlight, and it reminds me of the UConn. The step back. It reminds me of the UConn. Who's the point guard from UConn that won the title back in 10, 15?
Kemba Walker?
There
with
you
the
go.
Step back?
Remember his step back game in that title run?
Well, Jalen Brunson,
incredible.
Brunson played
for Villanova.
Yeah, Nova.
Right. I mean, for Villanova, his step back, right. I mean, in the NBA, he does it, but it's different because they're longer and they defend differently. But Kemba Walker,
he would step back like 7 feet on that jump and just dagger you.
And Kemba had a good, not great NBA career. Yeah. There are so many Kemba Walkers who just emerge and ascend in the NCAA tournament, and they have wonderful college careers, but then they get to the NBA and it just doesn't work. I mean, for Kemba Walker, he was good to quite good for a little while. But the I don't know.
He dropped off a cliff, though, didn't
he? Yeah.
But it was like the Celtics,
middle of his career. But I don't know if you remember from back in Notre Dame days, there was a point guard named David Rivers. Well, David was unbelievable in college. I think he might have played with Kelly Tripucka, who ended up playing for the Detroit Pistons. But David got to the NBA, and it was crickets. USC had a player named Harold Baby Jordan Minor. I mean, his vertical was 42.
Yeah.
I mean, you put a Baby Jordan nickname on somebody, like when they're in high school, hide the women and children for that kid, man, because that's what the expectations are going to be. And he was unbelievable at USC. Barely got a sniff in the NBA. Pearl Washington for Syracuse and for the Syracuse Orange, and another dazzling point guard who just killed college basketball, and it just didn't work in the pros. So, I mean, we've seen that, and we've seen that with players, but, I'll say it for the third and the final time. I'm the idiot here, man. I mean, we're not talking about UConn Huskies, Kansas Jayhawks with Joel Embiid, Jock Vaughn, and Mario Chalmers, or Kentucky with Eric Bledsoe, Devin Booker, and Nazir Muhammad. So I understand the reality of the relevancy, but just to be relevant, to pull in the casuals, season ticket holders look like they were super happy, and the insiders have to be happy if the step from the doldrums and being on or near the bottom is just be relevant. Just become relevant so people want to pay to come to the games. people want to pay for advertising and things like that, and we can recoup the cash, refurbish the funds. Well, that's clearly happening right now, but now I'm kind of bit a little bit in the NCAA, the Big Ten tournament is at Target Center. And I just want to, they got Hoiberg this weekend, then they got the Illini. Those are quad one games. They have a quad one game against Northwestern at the end of the year.
Yeah, they haven't won at Nebraska in years.
Right.
So that's going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, Hoiberg's crew is playing too right now.
Well, see, I got bit a little bit yesterday by Nordo with this team because I didn't watch the Purdue game. All right, and I could have watched it. I knew it was I was doing whatever. And I guess they played them so well and pushed, and this is like national championship contender type team, and pushed them so well, ended up losing close to 10 or whatever, but it triggered the coach, Matt Painter, super well respected after the game, to say, quote, "They are going in the right direction. That's what you want to see. Light at the end of the tunnel. You want that light to be hope, not a train. Their light is hope, and they should feel good about where they are." That's not effusive praise, but it's authentic. Mm-hmm. So he sees it and he saw it, and then last night, like I saw it and I felt it. Now they get the Big Ten tournament at the Target Center. Man, this is pretty good right now.
One thing, you look at the rosters across the Big Ten. You look at the Lakeville North collection that goes to Wisconsin every dang year, and those kids could be Gophers. You look at Cam Heide. I think he's a starter for Purdue. He's a Wayzata kid. Yeah. So you look at the roster of talent that's coming out of Minnesota that's playing in other Big Ten teams. It's just like the more you can keep those kids here and play, the more they're not only does you become relevant as far as wins and losses, you become relevant because people want to come watch them play. Now the seats are you're putting people in the seats because of that reason as well.
Yeah.
I knew PA was bit with this team when last night he texted me and he said, "It's so amazing, Pharrell Payne battling through those back injuries. It's a lot like Joel Embiid when he was at Kansas."
I always love that one.
And
stretch.
But he forgot the next text where I'm like, Elijah Hawkins reminds me of a new age Allen Iverson.
I always love that one.
Hey, have you had a chance to watch Hurley's UConn Huskies right now, though?
No, not much.
Yeah, I've watched them a couple of times.
Yeah.
Whatever they got going over there in UConn, man, the men's team is sneaky good every year. Won it last year they won it, right?
Yes.
I mean, and they're a tough out again, like you watch them play.
Well, John Ekstrom, all right, with whom I'm very close, Vikings media relations. Well, his lifetime favorite team is the Kansas Jayhawks. So I find myself watching he's the biggest Jayhawks fan I've ever met in my life.
He would.
So I find he's from there.
So
what do you mean? So,
I'm kidding.
I mean, Mount Vernon High School go crazy, playing for the -1A title.
I always love that one.
It's 5-man football.
Hey, they won last night, actually.
I always love that one.
Well, you started it.
Hey, the niece won last night. She's in the Sodak 16. So, hey, Wintersville. Let's go. Yep.
Sodak 16. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. But so I find myself watching.
The winners go to the Corn Palace.
Not this year. They're going to Huron, but
and get a trip to see Mount Rushmore for the 90th time. They haven't changed the faces, honey.
For those of you driving across South Dakota for your summer vacation, Uncle Doug is the executive director of the Corn Palace. So if you want that private
Uncle
tour,
Doug. I do.
Holler at me.
Now,
when I was 9, I thought the Corn Palace was sweet.
Okay.
I will say that. When I was 9.
You're so mature.
I've never seen the Corn Palace. I don't believe I have. Arguably,
you haven't?
The first or second greatest vacation I've ever taken in my life was renting a car in Sioux Falls and putting 650 miles on it throughout Spearfish and Custer National Park.
You forgot Mount Vernon on the way by.
And
I-90, baby.
Not
exit 319. Just
I didn't pass Mount Vernon.
You did.
Mount Vernon passed me.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Love that one.
Yeah. I mean, it was that
just
cow,
off to the north, settled in there up the north.
Cow flying. It's one of the greatest vacations I've ever had.
Find the third tumbleweed and take a right.
Pretty much.
So I totally love it there. So I follow Kansas pretty closely. The preacher's favorite team is Kentucky. So therefore, I follow that team and I'll watch that team closely, talented yet underachieving as it is. So therefore, UConn, I don't get a chance to watch that much. But I was bit a little bit after that Gophers game last night. So at 9:00, Washington State was a 13.5-point underdog to a top 5 Arizona team. So I went deep diving in the game logs a little bit, and I saw that Washington beat Arizona early in the season. Washington rattled off like 8 consecutive wins or something. So old people aren't staying up past 10. So I watched the first half of that game, low key starting to get ready for bracketology and March Madness and stuff like that. And Washington State looks like a badass basketball team. Eventually won the game at Arizona. What I read this morning as a massive underdog. So college basketball, again, I'm the idiot. I know it's fun. I know the NCAA tournament is fantastic. There's only so much time for so much. So I don't watch a lot this time of the year, but I mean, who knew with this Golden Gophers basketball team? A lot of people knew. I was not one of them. They got bigs who can make free throws. They got this Elijah Hawkins stepping back in cold-blooded like fashion, and it's part of 4 key cogs for 9 to noon that have become relevant, and that's obviously super cool because if anything, it diverts attention from wondering what's next for your former team, the Minnesota Vikings, because quite honestly, and maybe because it's the end of the week and I got the combine next week, and that rag has been twisted and squeezed to a point where there's just little dripping from it.
How about those Wolves?
Well, that's fantastic. I'm going to the game tonight. Let's
just find a way to talk about something else.
No, because the Vikings is the A topic. And there's a certain identity with this radio show that has been present for X amount of years, and there are people who count on a certain degree of speculation. But the Wolves and the Bucks at 9 tonight, there's no doubt, man. I mean, that's going to be a fun one this evening. The goal here for them, top seed in the West. And if they can end up as the top seed of the West, man, and it all goes through Target Center, you're on the bandwagon, right?
Oh, I have been. Yeah, I've been a Wolves fan forever. Love it.
That's going to be
fun. They're relevant. Fun. They're winning. And I love how they play.
Yeah, we got the 4 key cogs rolling right now. You got Ben Johnson's team. You got Finchie's team. Mm-hmm. John Hines has gotten the Wild relevant and close to playoff relevancy. And Golden Gophers hockey, the coach joins an hour and 15 minutes from now. Bob Motzko. I mean, think about that. The NCAA Frozen Four, the NCAA tournament culminating with the Frozen Fours at XL Energy Center in mid-April. It's all right in front of us,
right
man.
there.
It's all right in front of us.
Well, as I've been thinking about it too, and you mentioned it in the Open PA, 7-game homestand to start, 17 in the final 27 at home. It really is in the grasp of the Howl to secure that 1 seed. But when we were talking through the play-in bits, I have to admit some fatalism. I mean, think about this, Chad. So at the play-in bits, if it was as it is today, the Suns and Kings will battle it out. The winner gets the 7th seed. The Lakers and Warriors will play in the 9-10.
I'm out on it.
The winner of that will then face the Kings.
They played last night. The Lakers and Warriors played last night. I don't know who won.
I didn't see it.
I didn't watch it either. I was asleep, but as I click on over here, the Warriors got out 128-110. That's where I'm at though, and so celebrate it while it's here and while it's happening. Enjoy the ride. The Wild trying to get back into the playoffs. It's like, well, they don't match up well with Winnipeg. Who cares? We just need them to get back into the playoff mix.
Right.
But with this Wolves thing, you get the 1 seed. Don't tell me that if the 8th seed is LeBron and AD, who found a way to the conference finals last year on one leg, or it is the dying of a dynasty that will spend the next 3 months being told that they don't have it anymore and that Clay can't find a bucket to save his life. Draymond is a complete disaster. They're going to hear all of that. You're telling me I got to match up in a 7-gamer against those 2 Titans?
Let's drop to the 3.
If you get through that series,
I ain't tripping on that.
If you get through that series, though,
I
want to talk about battle testing.
Yeah, I mean,
bring on the rest of the West.
Let D'Angelo shoot, and he'll shoot them out of the game.
That's the truth. We saw that firsthand.
If you leave the Clipper beating the Clippers every time, joking around saying those are a bunch of old guys. All right, LeBron is an old guy of a different variety. so is Davis. But if you work your way the entire season to get the 1 seed and you eventually hook even them early, it shouldn't be hard to call on the equity that led you to get that 1 seed, not trip out, get Cat to play some defense, play Conley about 5 to 7 more minutes than he's playing right now, and just unfurl Ant on the old guys. I ain't tripping on the LA Lakers, man.
Yeah, I remember last year going to the tournament last year. The play-in was losing Jaden McDaniels. That happened right beforehand, right? The broken hand bit.
Oh, the wall punch.
And you look at just like if you have everybody available to you, you feel good about it. That's why you sit at the 1 seed. Now our offense in the fourth quarter has been a lot of things that have been left to be desired. But the reality is you put yourself in that position. It should be celebrated. And if you want to go win a title, those are series you have to win. and battle tested is what it's all about.
Yeah, battle tested indeed. Now with this team and this incarnation, we've watched the ascension of Ant, but you can appreciate this, when you think about football and identities of teams, right? Identity of the Vikings as it is today, it's offense with Kevin O'Connell. In your day with Zim, it was certainly defense. Defense is kind of on the mind of the Minnesota Timberwolves,
yep.
And you can go through stretches here, and they certainly have, where to say that they are a defensive juggernaut would feel almost uncomfortable with how some games went over the course of this season. But in some ways, with the team that you tout what Karl Anthony Towns can do, you tout what Anthony Edwards can do, the frame up of this team being first in the West, you kind of got to dedicate it to the defensive side and the shutdown aspects of that team.
Well, I think as a fan, I'm interested because they are willing to lock in and play defense. I think that's the one thing for me that's changed a lot is the fact that can you go get a stop, but it's playoff time. You need to have scorers in the fourth quarter who can hit shots and take over a game. You need to have defensive stops that you can get, when you need to get 2 or 3 stops in a row to either get yourself back in or create separation. And, you feel like you have the guys that can bring the defensive energy. They've shown that. Can they do it and prove it and got to have it win the games? And that's something that, we have not yet seen and hope to see soon.
Isn't that kind of one of those things, too, like defense in the NBA? It's not necessarily the steal or the block you make in the second quarter. It's kind of like the final 5 minutes.
Yeah.
At some point, these elite athlete specimens just have to want to do it late in the fourth quarter. It's amazing that is not a standard. Yeah. It's super weird. But specifically as it comes down to playoff time, the tightness of how these games will end up, just wanting it in the final 5 minutes, it's like, that's all I'm asking, fellas. If you go, and the Wolves are absolutely doing that right now.
Do we have enough shooters outside of Ant that can hit shots consistently? And I think that's going to be the biggest question. Yeah, I mean, no question about it.
Well, scoring off the bench, whether it was Jalen Noel, he's no longer with the team. Shake Milton. PA has written hours and hours of content for 9 to noon to talk about Shake Milton.
All right,
and unfortunately, it didn't work out.
That list posted on X. I'm back. Go ahead.
But the bench shooting and, Jordan McLaughlin being hurt, now back, able to take some minutes. You re-up Conley, but in the same sense, it's like you want to limit those minutes, right? Because, he's old. And old people
he's
get
fun
tired.
to watch, though. I love watching his game, man. He's been impressive, and he's hit some daggers throughout the season so far. And that may be your guy who you have Ant on the ball, and you have him sit in the corner catching and shooting threes, just daggering teams down the stretch. Why not?
And with him, it's not going to be, you don't need 6 or 7 triples from him a game. It's going to be in those moments.
It's the spots, 100%.
No, and Conley could be that guy, absolutely.
Norge, could you have the millionaire music at your fingertips, please?
Yeah.
Now but don't hit it yet. With the Wolves and Bucks this evening, Chad, it's crazy how fans care so much about beating the Packers and Badgers, but beating the Bucks and or Brewers doesn't lead to in your face Milwaukee. And I understand the age-old,
maybe that starts tonight,
division rivalry between the two teams. But hear me on this and tell me what you think. With the NFL Combine next week, and yours truly there Monday through Wednesday, I tried to get LaFleur to join the radio show at the Combine next week, and he said his group is not going. Packers. Either are the Seahawks, Dolphins, Jets, and so on.
Wow.
I wonder if the Combine is becoming a dying breed in any way. There's so many coaches and staffs that aren't going,
That is something I had not heard. And I know obviously way back when I was going through the process, it was something where you look forward to getting a chance to meet these guys, shake their hands, get an interview, and sit down and actually get to know them, and they get to know you, and you feel like, is there just enough information out there about these guys, or are they doing it in different ways with these pre-draft visits where you're going to get one-on-one time and they're not as concerned with the numbers they're going to see, or the numbers going to come out and they're just going to look at them and say, we can send scouts to do times.
Yeah,
I don't need to be there for these interviews. I can do that in person.
Right.
And save yourself a week of travel and whatever else you got going down there in Indy. Where is it this year?
It's Indianapolis.
It is Indy
and
still.
Next year. Hopefully it stays there forever. But agents are refusing to let some of the kids, some of their clients, take part in the cognitive testing, which is like the Wonderlic and stuff like that. And I wonder what that's all about, because it's happened in the past. But now you're getting, big noteworthy agents running noteworthy firms, handling noteworthy rookies who are going to be drafted super high. And they're like, we're telling all of our stable to not do the cognitive testing. Don't do the Wonderlic. Don't do whatever goes into that. Any idea why?
Well, obviously you're trying to prevent some sort of, especially if you're talking about a position that is, you need to have acuity and you need to have, decision making and speed. Preferably that the quarterback position, especially the top end of this draft, which is looking to be top heavy with picks in the first 10 of quarterbacks, is probably what you're talking about. And that's obviously something they're either trying to avoid or trying to avoid just a misstep where you go take a test, probably a smart kid, but you go take a test and all of a sudden it doesn't show well. But then again, that staff, to me, are you going to make a decision on drafting a guy or not based off one test? Or are you going to make a decision based off an interview you do in person and get to know him personally?
Well, wouldn't you be a little bit you would speculate if somebody's not willing to take the Wonderlic. Like, we're not talking about the difference between 21 and 27 here. We're talking about the difference between 9 and 20. So if you don't take it, that feels like a bit of an indictment in itself.
1,000%. Yeah, guilty by just not doing it, obviously. But I think there's few players in the draft that can do that. Just like there's a few players that can ask for fully guaranteed deals and everything else. So it's the 1% that the guys that know their draft stock is pretty much set. Just trying to avoid any missteps, anything crazy happening leading up to the draft.
And I believe with the cognitive test, you have 24 questions to finish in 12 minutes. It's something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a straight 25, max of 50 points.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's something along those lines.
From the original Wonderlic.
25, 12 minutes to complete it, 3-2 base. Now, I have some of these for Berkey later, but I'm going to unfurl some on you, a practice Wonderlic test.
Got it.
The practice cognitive ability test.
Good luck. Let me finish this coffee quick.
Yeah, they're harder, deeper into it with these 25 questions, but let's give you a low hanger to start, okay? Photograph is to blurry as knife is to A, sharp, B, pain, C, cut, D, dull, E, steel. Photograph is to blurry as knife dull. Is to... Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
All right. Which in the following group of numbers is the smallest? Now, if these had been Roman numerals, you could have put anything out there and I would have gotten it wrong. But they're not.
Here.
C.
Which in the following group of numbers is the smallest? 8, 0.6, 5, 0.33, 13. Which number is the smallest?
0.33. I think I heard that right.
8, 0.6, 5, 0.33, 13. Which is the smallest?
0.33.
And finally, a clock lost 2 minutes and 36 seconds in 78 days. How many seconds did it lose per day? A clock lost 2 minutes and 36 seconds in 78 days. How many seconds did it lose per day? A, 1/2 second. B, 30. C, 2. D, 1/30, 1/30th. E, 3. A clock lost 2 minutes and 36 seconds in 78 days. How many seconds did it lose per day?
In 78 days or 178 days?
78 days.
Got it. Okay, got it.
1/2, 30, 2, 1/30th, or 3?
It'd be 2.
Final answer?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
It's
harder when I'm not reading them because I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting this right without missing something.
Well, that's the key to this, too. You'll get to see it, and I think you even have scratch paper to do the math if needed as well.
I remember it being, when I did it, I remember actually enjoying it. I thought it was fun.
Right.
Again, I knew, my result was going to be solid. Yeah. I don't exactly know what it was, but
Sally sells 4 notebooks for 21 cents a piece.
Yeah.
How much were the notebooks in total?
And the one thing I remember is it getting harder as you went on. I remember it kind of rolling through the first 15 to 20, and then as you got a little more challenging, we had to think about it, take a little more time. And I ran out of time, I didn't get it all finished. But I remember my score was well above average, and I felt good about it.
Well, you supplemental income is your friend. So maybe Wonderlic / cognitive test training is next for the Gray Duck Group. For you with that training and your undefeated nature here with the mock Wonderlic, you could be to these college kids what the Whizzinator was to Ontario Smith.
I always love that one.
Just enlarge their brain.
They cannot live. Exactly. All right, you're in Apple Valley today. Where are you again?
Yeah, Apple Valley Munis. I don't have the addresses up here for the locations, but I will get that on my social. So if you're down in that area, stop in. I'm going to be signing all things Grey Duck, but focus on the Duck Duck beer for Dinkytown athletes and all of Gopher Athletics. So come check me out this afternoon. We'll see you down there.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a good weekend.
You bet. You too.
Chad Greenway, 5-2 Radio. Vikes Bites around the corner. It's the Friday football feast.
KFAN, The Fan.
Vikes Bites.
What up, Vikes Bites? And it's brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. And you can go to thousandhillslifetimegrazed.com. Awesome products. And you can shop right there on the website. You can learn more and support a local company right there on the website. Clearwater, Minnesota is where this thing launched from. And over the last 2 decades, they've found themselves growing their business not only here in Minnesota, but really in several areas throughout the country via regenerative agriculture. So learn all of that at thousandhillslifetimegrazed.com. This is kind of, as you mentioned, we're squeezing the stone that we can on this stuff here until we start finally seeing some dominoes fall with the Vikings. But the idea behind this PA is taking the swing. So Rube on Twitter, Andy sent this to me, and I appreciate it. I think it's Andy Pothen.
Oh, that's my man, Andy Pothen.
Okay, so you know Andy.
Yeah.
Well, from Kurt Warner on Twitter, he sent this to me. I know, this is Kurt Warner. I know many of you love college football, but as I start to dive into these college QBs, it's hard for me to even watch. Very few play on schedule. The pass concepts are a mess most of the time. They run the same play over and over, a million bubble screens. Can't find many concepts that translate to the next level. And then people are asked to figure out how good they will be at the next level.
Yeah.
Nearly impossible in my mind. And he uses C.J. Stroud. He says C.J.'s a great example. Obviously really good in college. OSU runs more pro-style concepts than most. Right. But they didn't ask him to process and get the ball out quickly as he did last year in Houston. So I had no idea he would be so good at processing so fast. He's better in the NFL than what we got to see in college, but many times you just don't know until you know. And it's using the C.J. Stroud as an example. You were talking about those cognitive tests last segment. Many people were texting into the text line that C.J. Stroud performed very poorly, not on the Wonderlic, but I think it's called the S2 test now. And then the scores get leaked. And I think that, it was almost like it was kind of a buzzkill for CJ that he performed so terribly on that test. And then the scores got leaked leading up to the draft. Clearly, the Texans weren't minding it. They draft him second. He has a great year. So the idea of it from Kurt Warner off of that tweet is that I'm watching this film. I'm an HOF QB. I was bagging groceries and winning Super Bowls. But I'm watching these guys on tape, and I have no freaking clue whether they're going to be able to accomplish what they'll absolutely be able to accomplish. So that brings me now to this PA. Mm-hmm. Zone Coverage, zonecoverage.com. Matthew Fries/Freeze put this article together. And this is where we're at, whether it's Matt at Zone Coverage and most people. We know all of the options for the purple. Pay a bunch, move up into the top 3 via the draft capital. Pay some capital to make a short move into the top 10. You can stay and pick at 11 or you trade back. We know all of those things. But he kind of put this together, and it's interesting. First round QBs since 2011. There's been 41 of them, PA. And he picked 2011 because, as we've talked about many first round picks, the CBA changes. So now having that rookie on the cheaper deal, you got 5th-year option in the mix. We know the value and the advantage. We've spoken and wondered from afar what that advantage would be like. We look at other teams with QBs on cheaper deals, and we wish that maybe we were one of those teams. But he says of the 41, I consider 19 to be successes. And he frames up success being players that signed their second contracts as starters.
Right.
So like Ryan Tannehill, for instance. Is he successful as a Super Bowl winning QB? No. Is he successful as in he was drafted in the first round and good enough that somebody still wanted him 4 years later? Yes, he was.
Wow.
19 of 41 That's a under 50% success rate just to continue being a starter beyond your rookie contract. And he would continue to break it down. The first overall pick since 2011, 7 of 9 have been successes. The second through the top 10, 9 out of 18, a precipitous drop, just 50% drafted from 2 to 10 have turned out to be successes. 11 to 20, 1 out of 7. Since 2011, it ended up being successes, 21st through the 32nd pick, 2 out of 6. So in the end, 19 of those 41 selections have ended up being good enough to get to their second contract. If you don't trade up, about half of your selections have worked out. If you do trade up, 7 of 17, that's just over 40% workout. So painting the picture here that regardless of how this quarterback situation with Kirk turns out, and I got some audio from Rick Spielman, by the way, on that conversation. He was on, I believe, Sirius XM yesterday. I saw the video clip.
Oh, so Rick does not, or maybe, does he still consult for Washington?
I don't know what he's doing now, to be honest. He could still be, because he was with, who was it, the former GM or personnel guy for was it Bob Myers? I forget what the name is.
I don't know.
For the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
And Rick were consulting with Mr. Harris and the Washington Commanders group.
Right.
I assume he can do that and talk to somebody on the radio at the same time.
Right.
He's got some Kirk audio on that. But the picture that this is painting here, whether we, before the combine, are daggering J.J. McCarthy, or we have an even bigger opinion about moving up, and Jaden Daniels is obviously the answer, Drake May, etc., that this thing is muddy as hell and not guaranteed to work out. About a coin flip shot, it appears like, over the last 12 years.
And see, that's why I appreciate and respect this year's draft from a quarterback standpoint, because you don't hear into many drafts. In fact, I can't remember the last time I heard this may be the deepest quarterback draft since like the mid 80s. It's simply because, sooner or later, people can bang their head against the metaphorical wall all they want and be like, well, no, it's not. Well, 2020 with the receivers, no, okay. It's a difficult proposition to prove, but I'm the one that preaches that I need to see them for a couple of seasons before I can proclaim that this is that. Well, the 2020 group, they were dead on it. They also were dead on it last year with the tight ends. And I think they're going to be dead on it this year with the quarterbacks. So I think that there's a separator in there when you get a group that is qualified the way it is, X amount deep, but past a handful of individuals who kind of like described the way Warner described Tannehill is, all right, Williams, May, Daniels, whomever, in what order. They may be different, but there are more than a handful who will get second contracts as starters, and they're not necessarily forcing them. Ryan Tannehill was a wide receiver at Texas A&M. So for him to go in the first round, that was crazy. But good for Ryan. He pushed through. He's pushed through in a run-first offense where they had DeAndre Hopkins, then they didn't. Then they had A.J. Brown. He gets traded. Owner gets pissed off, fires the general manager, and you got a running back who's a beast who requires X amount of carries, and next level Tanny continues to persevere, continues to sustain, and that's not simply because, we have to keep him. Daniel Jones with the New York Giants. The contract they gave Daniel Jones, I don't believe he's requisite of that contract. So now he's going to get through. Well, he got that second deal. So, there's that side of it too, where, okay, he got it, but how long is he going to last and what are you going to get from it? So it can be very complicated. I love how Kurt Warner laid it out. But when it comes to watching, like to Andy Pothen and the tweet that you saw.
The Kurt Warner tweet, yes.
The Kurt Warner tweet. It's, like you watched, a half hour, 45 minutes of J.J. McCarthy highlights, I think it was last week. And that's fun. And we can, we can take things and build off of it as we unpack. The problem I have watching college football film is I don't watch enough college football to know who's strong and who's weak. So therefore, you see somebody tearing up somebody, and you're like, hey, this is a top 15 team. All right, well, they have 3 L's in the secondary, that are never going to take the next step, and those are the ones on whom they pick the entire game. I mean, that's a major portion of the equation because, sure, there are problem spots with defenses in the National Football League, but it's a different kind of problem spot. It's in college football, they're legitimately for almost every team are 1, 2, or 3 guys on the field who just get picked on repeatedly every single game by these high-end players. And I just don't know who they are, what teams for whom they play. But it's fun. Warner laid it out beautifully, and it plays into the quarterback's narrative that has engulfed the 2024 Minnesota Vikings offseason.
Indeed, it has. And I think that's a good spot to pause because the next couple of segments may be potpourri based from a talker standpoint. I do want to play some audio in relation to Kirk Cousins from former Vikings general manager Rick Spielman. I got a couple other topics up my sleeve, something heavy on some top draft-related opinions from an NFL network big-timer, and maybe something off the beaten path for you over the next couple segments, too.
It's 10 o'clock. Happy Friday. You are listening to 9 to Noon.